So for those of you who are still connecting, hello and welcome. This event is dedicated to giving you more insight into why studying applied sciences is a top choice for your career, and it will introduce you as well to the academic offer at bbw Hochschule, University of Applied Sciences. As you will get to know, they are a university based in Germany. They have campuses in Berlin and Venice, Italy as well. So I would like to take a moment to introduce speakers on behalf of bbw. So we have with us Lorenzo Heller. He's the operations manager at bbw. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for your presence here. We have Professor Oliver McConnell. He's the Professor of Business Administration and Fashion Management at bbw Hochschule. Professor, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
And last but not least, we have Professor Ingo Schönemann. He's the Professor of Media Management. So once again, welcome and thank you for your presence here.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Okay.
Nice to have you here, professors. So for those of you who just connected, once again, welcome. This event will be dedicated to getting to know the University of bbw Hochschule and giving you some insight into why studying applied sciences is the best choice in terms of career prospects, career placements, and how bbw can help you get there. So if you have any questions, of course, we will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to write in the Q&A box and we'll be happy to answer those at the end of the presentation. So without any further ado, I would like to leave the floor to Professor Ingo Schönemann. And once again, thank you all so much for joining us for this event.
Good.
All right, so Oliver, I'm going to start, or are you going to start?
Go ahead.
I'm going to start. Okay. Okay. My name is Ingo Schönemann. Just a couple of words to me, actually. Was working for a great television network in Germany, which is ProSiebenSat.1 Media. And then afterwards, I was working for a German film distributor. And while doing that, I was involved in, of course, licensing the films and, of course, doing the premieres. So which were, I mean, very important for the success in the later markets. So that's my professional background, actually. And then I started, before I already studied economics, and then I did my PhD in media science. So I've got a background which is like media and economics as well. And you are going to have this both actually in this studies, as you probably know already. I just would like to show you some slides concerning the media and events management departments. Just a moment. So, which I prepared. So I'm not going to talk about all the contents of the studies. I suppose that Lorenzo, you did that already to some extent.
I didn't, but what I can do, Ingo, once we are finished both, I can do a recap. So we're showing who we are and what we are offering. But anyway, what I think is that first, if they are knowing live what you are doing, they will be much more interested in you rather than in myself. I will recap everything at the end.
Okay, all right. So I'm not going to tell you anything about this studies. This is actually not possible, but I would like to focus on networking today, because of course in media and event management, the networking is very essential for the studies and your chances later on. So let's have a look at our advisory board. The advisory board of the media and event management studies is consists of companies which are, well, I mean, which are very important in the Berlin sphere, I have to say. So there's the Dank Media Group, which has a lot of radio stations. There's German Railways. There is the Messe Berlin, the German fair, one of the biggest in Europe. There is Nexu, a big app producer. There is the Green Music initiative, and I have to, I'm going to say a few things about this later on, because this is a kind of industry lobby concentrating on promoting sustainability in the music industry. And we've got the BVG, and that sounds maybe a bit weird to you, because the BVG in German is the Berlin transport system, which everybody knows, of course, and used to hate in the early days, till they decided to have a new campaign and social media campaign. And this has been very successful. And we have been at our studies part of it. So our students were asked to do a social media podcast channel for the BVG, or BVG, I say it in German. And so they had to do, I mean, I would say conceptual work, which is very important, media conceptual work, which is very important for your later, I mean, chances in companies. So what did we do exactly? We did conception work for media products as part of your studies. Again, we had to look, I mean, what kind of market is there? I mean, what kind of market we have to keep in mind when we are doing a podcast channel for a big company like the BVG. And yeah, just a moment. And you had the students had to do, I mean, wide market research. They had to build a persona, which the podcast channel was aimed at. And yeah, we had to define our goals for the podcast. As I told you, I mean, this BVG social media approach is very modern. They've won a lot of prizes. So yeah, the students went into it and had to look, I mean, what kind of content are we going to develop from A to Z? From A to Z means, if it comes to content, how much audiovisual content, how much print content, how much audio content, and who is going to talk in the podcast? Are there kind of couple of persons? Is there one anchor? Whatever. I mean, every group had to do their own concept, and then that is the essential part, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. They were, I mean, telling these or presenting this content to the executives at the BVG. So the main marketing director, who is now head of German Railways marketing, and the social media head of department. And they came in 3 times, at the beginning for the briefing, then in the middle, just to see how they are doing actually and give some further advice, and for the pitch in the end. And we had 5 groups consisting of 4 to 5 people, like, yeah, 25 students all together. And yeah, and 2 just succeeded and could launch their podcast channel for the BVG. So what did they do apart from the content concept? They just did a marketing and content distribution concept. So they had to see, okay, we are going to have this content for that podcast, and how is this going to distribute it? And part of the overall work was to do a social media and content distribution concept as well. And that has been taken by the BVG in general. But not only the content, but also people actually, because the BVG afterwards was very interested in the people who did it. They got to know them, and they had one-to-one contact. And I mean, of course, this is very essential if you are going to not only to work during your studies, but to find a job afterwards. So they also did media work at its core, which means the podcast itself. They did a channel. I mean, they did a series consisting of 8 to 10 parts, and they did one part as a mood for the whole series for the podcast channel. So they did media work, and apart from this project, you are doing a lot of media work as writing and filming. I mean, not not that you are supposed to do this perfectly, but you have to do it once, at least to understand what kind of work this is. So, but this is only one example. Another example has been just before the Corona time, the Takeoff Award, which is a bbw project together with other partners like the government of Berlin. And it's called Takeoff Award because the Berlin Flughafen airport is involved. So it's not that creative actually, but it's aiming at people who are doing social work, companies who have social work startups, new ideas to bring in sustainability, to bring in social, let's call it social justice. And what did our students do in that? They didn't do the overall concept this time, but they did an image film. And again, for this event, and again, they were conceptualizing, producing, and distributing this film for social media. And I encourage you to have a look. Takeoff Award, YouTube 2019, and you see that film that they did. Very professional, very good work, very visible, not only for our partners in this project, but for the whole community of YouTube. So it hadn't been done in the last 2 years due to obvious reasons. We are going to do this again in next year and going to develop a new film for it, starting in autumn with the new students coming in there. So another picture, actually, it's concerning Prada. Why did I choose that one? Prada, of course, everybody knows it in Italy and everywhere else in the world. But this has been produced by Prada as well during the Corona times. And this is a very symbolic picture. I mean, you can see a lot of camera work, can see the catwalk, and there haven't been any audiences, of course. And it symbolizes the integration of both spheres. I mean, media and event has been always kind of complementary. Of course, I mean, media needs events to talk about, and events need media to be talked about. I mean, there wouldn't be any reach actually without media. So in the end, you have to think it commonly, I mean, in an integrated way. And the Corona times actually have done a lot of good to this idea, because everybody was forced to do it from today on. And a lot of good examples has been done, and Prada is obviously part of that. So finally, I would like to say you talked about the Green Music Initiative again. I really encourage you to see on that website as well. That's a partner of the bbw Hochschule. And again, it's not only a company, it's not a company, it's a lobby group, it's a industry representative. They are, I mean, talking for the whole group of German companies of the audio industry and concert industry. So, and not only German one, they are part of, you can see that here on the right-hand side. Go Group is an European alliance of this kind of sustainability groups, and they are concentrating on sustainability, not only in nature, not only in ecology, but also in social items like Me Too, for instance, like gender, like social justice, and they try to alter the industry towards these aims. So by having the Green Music Initiative on board in our studies, you got an entrance to all the companies concerning the audio industry, the concert industry in Germany, in Berlin. And just to name just some examples which are part of this, it's like and the international sphere, it's like Glastonbury, it's the Fusion, festival, it's a nation festival. It's all these huge festivals they are working with. So this is a real gateway. So that has been pretty short. Thank you for your attention so far. I would like to have your questions afterwards and talk about what you're really in need of.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks to you, Ingo. And now I would like to hand over to Oliver just to point out something. This is something we will also explain, is that the course of media and management, as well as media and event management, as well as fashion management, as well as tourism management are part of, let's say, business and economics. That means that we have 3 courses which are part of business economics. There is, let's say, an approach which is giving the whole, let's say, the whole training in terms of business and economics. So what's a P&L, everything which is mathematics, everything which is economics. And afterwards, there will be, obviously, there will be a verticalization either in media or in fashion or in tourism. This is something we were also pointing out. In order to develop all the projects that Professor Schunemann was describing, obviously you will have and must have some solid experience and solid training on business and economics. Having said that, I'm handing over to Professor McConnell, and I hope you will enjoy as well.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo, and Lavinia. Thank you very much for the introduction. Before I start my presentation, apologies, I'm working on a MacBook now for this conference that is probably older than the majority of the people that are listening. I bought it in 2001. So
it's still working anyway.
It works. Well, kind of. No, my name is Oliver McConnell. Thank you very much. I am the program director for fashion management at the bbw Hochschule based here at the Berlin campus. The thing I'm about to talk to you is called a very serious development we have right now in creative industries, which is called hybrid studies. Hybrid means that, I make it very short and brief, it has been come to everybody's attention that the creative part is as important as the managerial part in this whole business. And we are trying at the bbw Hochschule to put those 2 approaches into one study. This is over several courses. In the beginning, the first is base courses, but I will give you a little hint today about a course that includes both of those approaches, the creative one as well as the managerial one. And this is called fashion thinking. I give you a short backdrop on my vita, how you call it, on my CV. I finished my school in Germany. I started making an apprenticeship in the tailor industry in the haute couture business. Then I changed I moved to Paris, and then I studied fashion design at Studio Berceau and worked then the several 2 and 3 years for Karl Lagerfeld. We worked together for Fendi as well. So I have a little bit of Italian experience working for Fendi in Roma. And after that, I went for 2 years to work in the accessory department from Chanel. Having finished that, I studied business economics and finished that as well. And now this is basically, I'm living right now this hybrid approach, of which I'm going to show you a little bit the metaverse, how this is approachable and what is the point behind it. I will share my screen with you. Just a second. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Lavinia, back again. Hi.
Looks great, by the way.
Pardon? What did you say?
It looks great.
Well, this is not me. This is Lee.
I know.
Edelkort.
I'm not saying you are looking great. I said it looks great.
Yeah. This is Lee Edelkort, one of the big forecasters in fashion. She's a Dutch lady who has been in the business for nearly 1,000 years or something like that, but she's very, very forefront. And she's the one who introduced hybrid studies to, to the world, let's put it this way. And the thing is, she introduced that because she said that the world is becoming so complex that we cannot do only one thing. We have to know about all the things that are approaching and attaching and are part of our business. She calls it the bigger picture and what is it all about? Well, that is, of course, a very philosophical approach. But Lee Edelkort is one of the big thinkers in fashion. That is something she said recently, but it's for sure not, she's not the first one. So if we go a little bit, further, I show you a couple of designers you might know, and they have been very famous since 1956. And this is a picture of Charles and Ray Eames. They are very known for the furniture, for the lounge chair and the ottoman. They're known for their moving pictures. They're known for their fairs they developed, etc., etc. Every one of them had a significant part of very revolutionary furniture. And what they said and the way they worked was so revolutionary and very hybrid already in 1956, because what they said was, in the early days, you have to work deeply for yourself that is connected to others. Now, let me explain that a little bit more. What they say is basically reflecting in their entire work that if you work in your ego for yourself and nobody else, you will definitely lose. You have to share the interests of others to be successful. And this is a very, very significant thing they said. And Charles Eames made a very famous drawing regarding that, and that looks like that. It's a little bit chaotic, I mean, that's how he was. And what he defines is the area in the middle where you have the exclamation mark. He defines the area of so-called overlapping interests and concerns that designers can work in. All the areas, number one, if you look on the left-hand side, is an area that represents the interests of the design office, of the Eames design office. Then you have an area where the genuine interest of the entire society as a whole. And then again, of course, you have a certain customer who has an interest. Everybody has a different agenda, but somehow they all meet in the middle. And when the designer is capable of working exactly in that middle, he's capable of doing something that will last much longer than the designer himself or herself. Now, 1956, of course, is quite some while ago. So what I did is I updated this a little bit and I made it in 2022. So what does that mean in 2022, in our time today? What does it mean to work in an area of overlapping interests and concerns, especially in the creative industries? And that is, of course, on the one hand, in this area, you have the so-called KPIs. This is just an expression for key performance indicators, such as turnover, etc., all this stuff. Management, supplier politics, or everything that your company is concerned with is this area. Then if you continue, on the other side, you have, of course, design, inspiration, you have the creative handwriting, you have the interests of all the creative people involved in the company, and then at least you have the customer, society as a whole, and of course the political situation. So these are the three main forces you have in every fashion company, whether it's manufacture. I know Italy is very strong in manufacturing. This is a very strong part in the Italian business. So in every company, you have those three, let's say, areas. To make it short, we have, for instance, on Thursday, we have an event here in Berlin that is exactly doing this, that is bringing together the people from all these areas. We call this area where we have KPIs, management, suppliers, and all that numbers, we call it money matters. This is very simple. Then society as a whole is, for instance, customer first. And at least when you have design and inspiration and the creative handwriting, this is for us, idea is key. Now, the exclamation mark in the middle is exactly the area we are teaching at the bbw Berlin University, and that we call fashion thinking. Fashion thinking is the area that we teach you to proceed your studies in an area of overlapping interests between design and inspiration, the customer, and all the requirements that you have, in your own company. So this is basically really just the metaverse of the approach that we are planning here in Berlin, or in general for fashion management. So coming to us, you have to be hopefully prepared to work creatively, to understand the numbers, and to interpret what the customer wants. Only if you can do that if you proceed with those 3 points of view, which are never really different, then you can do that successfully. And we are trying to bring you a bit closer to this point of view. So with the German Danke, which means grazie, thank you for your attention, and I hope this gives you a little insight of how we approach things at fashion management. I just want to point out, for me, it's very, very important. See, I have worked as a designer as well as a manager in many different countries. I know, for instance, every country has its part in the worldwide fashion economics and business. There's a handwriting. If you go, for instance, straight to Italy, I mean, we think of a classical approach, a high quality approach. This is still Italy. When you go to America, you still have the casual approach, the, let's say, streetwear approach. When you go to Germany, we're a little bit boring here in Germany because we're trying, Germans love their jeans, their t-shirts, and their washing machine. Germans are extremely practical, but they have quite a lot of money. So it's always a little bit, every country has their personal, let's say, or their cultural background regarding fashion. It's not about, in fashion management, it's not about teaching you a view on things. It's about showing you how to approach your customer in your country regarding all the aspects that take part of the development of a collection. And that is very important to understand that there is a big difference between Italy, between Germany, between every country has their own cultural approach. So we try to make you understand what individually brings you into a successful situation in the fashion business in your country.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Oliver, and thank you so much, Ingo. Now what I would like to do, I would like to get on the boring side, as I'm not that creative, at least on the job I'm doing right now. And I would like to answer to some of the questions I've got from you. And one question was, what kind of job can I have after attending bbw Hochschule? Well, that depends on essentially on the course you will choose. And this is giving me the opportunity to show you who we are and what we are offering. So therefore, let's go. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, but we are getting there. In the meantime, while you share the screen, I would like to remind all participants that if they have any questions, they can use the chat or the Q&A box to write us, and we'll be more than happy to cover all the questions that will come through.
Yes.
And now we see your screen.
Perfect. Now I just going to show you a couple of slides, which again are a little bit more boring. First of all, welcome to everybody, and thanks to the two professors which are supporting me. By the way, they are the directors of the respective courses of media and event management and fashion management. So who's bbw Hochschule? bbw Hochschule was founded in 2007. We have 22 study programs, and moreover, most importantly, we have 200 industry partners, which are giving us the opportunity to have, I would say, a discrete basket of companies which will help you in getting, let's say, practical skills, because you are going to have, during your bachelor's, you're going to have 2 mandatory internships. And again, this is part of the philosophy of a University of Applied Science. That means that, yes, we are teaching in classes. Yes, we are academics, but on the flip side, what we have strong roots among the companies, and all of our professors, and the example is given by the 2 professors which are supporting us. They are all coming from the corporate world. So we are not striving for a top-down, let's say, didactic, rather than in molding your skills depending on what the market is requesting right now. And that's the reason why we have a strong network in the industry. We have 4 studies departments. We have economics and business management, and we have industrial engineering. Then we have engineering and educational and social sciences. However, in our campus in Venice, we are focusing on economics and business management and industrial engineering. Again, we are a private university, which is accredited by the German Ministry of Education. That means that our degrees, which are released in Berlin, are valid at pan-European level. Again, yes. So let's talk about our USP. The first one, coming back to the future, you might imagine after getting graduated at the bbw University, we have 97% employment rate within 1 year from graduation. This leads to a good ranking in terms of satisfaction, students versus professors. We have between 25 and 30% e-learning mode. And again, what is very important, we have internships which are mandatory. Why are they mandatory? Because we think that everything which you learned in the classroom has then to be converted in skills, in a practical approach into a company. For doing that, we have a career center in Berlin, which is helping in matching the demand of the market with the offer which is coming from our student. So let's say once you're getting in the company, first of all, you're going to implement what you have learned. You will get to know the corporate world, and you will learn a little bit of lateral thinking, which is very, very important in your daily business. We are part of let's say, a strong network of partners. Below you can see we have our partners are part of plenty of, let's say, plenty of directions. So we are spreading from chemicals with Menarini, and we are getting over to electronics, Siemens. In the middle, we have Bombardier, Daimler, Otis. Here, we are just showing the blue chips. However, we have partners which are either blue chips. We have small and medium entrepreneurs. So we have a lot of segmentation in terms of companies which can help you first to learn the daily business, and secondly, then to start with you, let's say, or shaping your future once you are getting into them. The last one is what we are offering in Venice. In Venice, we are offering business management and engineering, which is part of industrial engineering. We are starting in April 22, and we are going to have also October 2023. I do apologize because something is wrong with my charts. Everything which you read October 2022 has to be written 2023. So therefore 2022, sorry, and April 2023. So what we have again, business management and engineering, 7th semester. And then we have 3 courses which belongs to, let's say, to business and economics, which are fashion management, media and event management, and tourism management. The 3 courses I was just describing, so fashion, media, and tourism, have an overview, have solid foundation in terms of numbers and figures. So it's business and economics. So what you're going to have at the end of your bachelor's is a degree in business and economics with further specialization in. And there I'm coming back to what Professor McConnell was saying is to be successful, you need to know figures, you need to understand segmentation. And as also Professor Schünemann was saying when showing, let's say, the projects he was developing with his students, you have to understand how to get an analytical mindset, because I mean, good ideas are just a waste of time if they are not supported by a strong analytic mindset. Why are we doing this presentation in English? Because we are focusing on internationalization, and for this reason, most of our most of our internship are abroad, and that's the reason why all our courses are taught in English. And we are asking, let's say, therefore, to have a B2 certification in English, just to have homogeneous classes and to have the same speed in terms of learning and evoluting. I mean, what I would do is I wouldn't go much more into the detail. I would just wait for let's say, for question. I've seen there are some questions already that I'm trying to... Yes,
we do have some questions, and yes, sorry for taking over. I just wanted to remind all participants that, of course, we are going to have this Q&A session, which is about to begin. And if they have any question relating to the programs offered at bbw or any other, theoretical aspects of studying applied sciences, if they have any questions for the professors, they are more than welcome to ask. We'll be happy to help. And of course, I would like to get to the questions that we did get already. So a participant is thanking us for the opportunity. Thank you for attending. They would love to study in Berlin, and they are asking if we can maybe offer some examples of practical projects or jobs that students can get, or projects that have been done within the programs. Thank you.
From my personal point of view, what we can do, first of all, I think this question was arising let's say from a student who didn't see, let's say, the projects that Professor Schunemann was showing. What we can do, just take note about the student, please, Lavinia, and then we can send him some example of projects which have been developed between, let's say, students, university, and in which direction they have been done. I have another question to answer, which is coming from a student. Can you work and study at the same time? Yes. You can. We have programs which are just dual programs for people who are already working. However, moreover, as our lessons are held, let's say 4 hours or 6 hours a day, there is the opportunity as well to work and study at the same time. And the university can help with part-time jobs, especially if you are working if you're studying in Venice, because Venice, for the time being, is really hungry. I mean, there are a lot of jobs in Venice at the moment, and they are really hungry for students who would like to have a part-time jobs, especially in the sector of tourism. So yes, there is this opportunity, and then there are other questions I can't see yet.
Yes, we do have Professor, please.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just to answer this. Of course, it's possible to work during the studies, and I know, of course, sometimes it's necessary because it costs money. Okay, somebody has to earn the money. I understand totally. Please think about it. I have, for instance, well, this is maybe typically Berlin. I have 2 students who do the door at the Berghain Club. I think everybody from you know the Berghain Club, in a very famous party location. The problem is a little bit that when you work all night at the Berghain, it's quite hard to be rather concentrated during the daytime. Let's put it this way. Of course, I know it's necessary sometimes to work. However, when you study with me or when you study with fashion management, I demand your full attention. And I don't absolutely, this sounds a bit German now, but I have to be very frank with you. I absolutely do not tolerate when people have like 3 or 4 jobs and can hardly keep their eyes open during the lectures. Please think about it, what your energy level allows you, because I won't make a weaker lecture only because you're tired. I just say it like this because this happens very often. I understand the necessity to work sometimes, and you can find very interesting jobs as well, but please focus. The focus is the study. The focus is not the side work.
Yeah, thank you for underpinning this, Oliver. If somebody is interested in questions which are related to, let's say, administrative stuff, such as fees, such as support in finding, let's say, accommodation, in supporting you in getting, let's say, loan honor to get your fees paid. Do not hesitate to get in touch with myself. Lavinia has all my contacts, so I can answer to you on a one-to-one basis.
Absolutely. So on that note, of course, all participants will get a recording of this event and also all the necessary information to reach out to the school. So we still have one question. Matteo is asking if the university can help with finding part-time jobs. I feel like we have partly answered this and why it's not advisable. Professor Ingo?
Yeah, I just would like to say a few words to that as well, because I mean, I've talked about practical projects and concerning jobs in the media industry or the event industry. I mean, I'm really, I think the same like Oliver. It's very hard if you're doing some work which doesn't have any link to your studies. But there are, of course, some jobs actually who are very linked to our studies, and if you can get some of those, that might be even helpful and not only distract you from our theoretical contents while studying. So it really depends what you're doing. As far as media and event is concerned, the companies of our advisory boards are coming in and are offering jobs, and yeah, we are happy to guide them to students which are willing and capable of doing that. So you have this kind of access which you might not have at a public university. But yeah, you have to see it from project to project, from job to job, whether it fits or not. Not all jobs fit into these studies. Maybe some do, and we would be happy to guide you to those who fit, actually, that fit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, professors. So I have a question, since we are waiting for more questions to come in. I was wondering if, as professors, you've seen or experienced a surge or a rising demand for some specializations. For example, I'm thinking fashion management. In your experience, Professor McConnell, have you had any students who have been getting a certain type of roles, or that have been involved in their professional careers in any specific sector in fashion?
Thank you, Lavinia. I'm happy to answer that. Yes, indeed. The thing is, when you when you finish your study, you normally work in either of three areas. Either it's marketing, or it's buying, or it's selling, so distribution. That depends a little bit, and you have to take your time during the studies to find out where you have, or where the students, that's you who listen, where you have your expertise. Because everybody has a different talent, and there are people who are very good in analytics, which is good for marketing. They are some people who have a very strong link to the creative approach, then they go into buying. And there are some who have a very good sense for selling collections, so they go into distribution. We right now, for instance, I have, just after our meeting, I have another call with a company where it's called Wardo. That is a very large online dealer for luggage and for, second-hand luggage, but on the very high level. And one student of mine, she is now head of marketing there. So this is a very interesting work. Then another event we have, for instance, on Thursday, which I was talking about, is called Match It Like Eames. So there we do exactly what I showed in my presentation. And this has been organized by two former students who now work at an event management focused on fashion. So it's a very, the fashion industry is huge. It's big. It has lots of niches, and you should use 3 years of studies to find out where you are really good at. Because only when you're good at something, you will probably do it quite good. And when you do it good, people will come back to you and ask automatically for something that you do good. So I would say use the studies in order to find out, for instance, as well, what you don't like. That is where you can make your internships. When you think, oh, I'm a little bit scared of speaking another language, go to France, go to whatever, go to somewhere where you definitely do not speak the language. Nothing can happen to you, nothing. Everything is fine. But take it a little bit, not as, look, I always tell my students, your generation is very likely to get 100 years old or something like that due to, pretty old, older than us. Let's put it this way. Take your time. Take your time to find out where you're good at. When you try to be too professional too soon, you will have a burnout when you're 30, and what do you do the rest of the 70 years? You know, I mean, you have to earn your own money, that is all right. But I mean, take your time. You make your career. I can assure you, you can make your career when the most important focus in your career is the next step. I honestly have to say, I never dreamt even of being a professor for fashion management. I wanted to be a designer. Then I studied fashion. Then I studied economy. Then I worked freelance. Then I worked for Chanel. I worked in a lot of places where I never knew I would go to work. I lived in Hong Kong, in London, in Paris, everywhere. I'm very proud of what I've achieved, I have to say, but I never could see that coming. Never, ever. It's just the next step. Use 3 years of study to find out who you are. That is the most important, and where you're good at. So
well, that's a good lesson. Ingo, this is something maybe you can answer, which is if I would go into media management studies, what is the master I can get at the bbw Hochschule after getting the bachelor in media and event? What would you suggest?
Yeah, we've got a common master, Oliver, fashion management, media management, and corporate PR, and that's called the Master of Creative Industries. So, and that's offered by our college, by our university as well. And you know, it's concentrating on the core elements of creative work, and which are, I mean, pretty similar in creative management studies. So if you do that 3 years, I mean, studying fashion management or media and event management, you can stay at our university, but a lot of people are going to other universities as well, maybe to have a different kind of concentration or approach. That is possible, of course, but you also can stay at our place and yeah, and get a broader, I mean, maybe to get a broader idea of creativity, because creative management studies, of course, differ a lot. I mean, fashion is not the same like event, and media is something else as well. But as Oliver said already, I mean, the core idea is to combine business thinking and creativity. I mean, we all know people can be creative, but only creativity doesn't bring you anywhere. I mean, you have to sell it somewhere, somehow. And that's what you learn at studying creative management in the master, but already in your sphere in fashion management or media and event management.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, professors, for the advice and the insight. I was just wondering if there's anything else we'd like to cover before wrapping the event up in terms of deadlines. So if the participants would be interested in applying, are there any incoming deadlines that they are supposed to be aware of? Thank you.
Thank you, Lavinia, for this question. For the winter semester, starting October, we are going to close our, let's say, application in August. End of August is the closing time for application. And we also have an early bird offer, which is for application which are coming by the end, within the end of July. So, and the early bird offer consists in, let's say, in 10% off on the fees of the first semester on the first year.
Thank you so much. I was also wondering if we can maybe give a general description of what the application process looks like.
Yes, we would like to have, obviously, just to see the level, okay, of skills you have. First of all, we need a B2 English certification. we would need to have copy of your living certificate. For non-EU, we would need to have an internal appraisal at the bbw Hochschule in order to see if the contents are matching with the threshold we are having from the Ministry of Education, and obviously copy of the ID. All this paperwork has to be sent to, let's say, to bbw Hochschule, to Ms. Potter. What I will do, Lavinia, I will send you the presentation, the overall presentation in PowerPoint, where you have all the details and all the contact details where you have to send the paperwork.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the information. So, of course, for all the participants that have stuck with us till the end, once again, you will get an email with the recording of the event and more information about all the programs offered at bbw Hochschule. And, of course, the contacts to reach out to Lorenzo himself and to Kathleen for any administrative questions. Once again, I would like to thank both professors, Professor McConnell and Professor Schönemann, for their presence here tonight and for taking the time to give us some insight and answering the questions. Of course, I would like to also thank the participants for being here. And once again, I hope that this was a useful opportunity for everyone involved to get to know bbw Hochschule and all the amazing opportunities offered in their Berlin and Venice campuses. So once again, thank you all so much.
Thanks to you, thanks to everybody, and thanks to Oliver and Ingo. It's the second, I'd say this is the second webinar we are having, don't we? And I have to say that this time it was quite entertaining, and that's also the reason why we have all these people sticking with us since the beginning. And again, thanks really very much to our two directors of the course of Tourist Management and Media and Event Management.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone, and I hope to see you next time for the next webinar in partnership with bbw Hochschule. In the meantime, stay safe, and I wish everyone a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye.
Ciao.